Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of the Foot Basket Podcast. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you tuned into this episode. I can't wait to get over the segments I got prepared today. Um, I just want to first give all the glory to God, allowing me to do this podcast, allowing me to buy the equipment for it, have the knowledge that I have, and to just talk about the sports that I love. So I give all the glory to God, allowing me to be in this chair and just talk to you guys, communicate with everyone that's watching this video. You won't have any question of the weeks for this week. If you want to be a part of the segment that I do, a weekly segment where I answer fans or viewers' questions, you could just comment on this video, send me a text on my personal Instagram or the Foot Basket Podcast account. If you are a new viewer, follow the Foot Basket Podcast on Instagram account. It will keep you updated. It will give you links for other places that you could watch, and just keeps you updated on all things foot basket related. So I'm ready to get into this. Let's get into the NBA. Um, we were 3 weeks in when I started taking in my notes, or taking the notes down for this episode. And something that was noticed, I did some advanced stats for just the week of, or the 3 weeks that I was watching. And there was a team that was surprisingly like one of the worst in the league when it comes to offensive defensive rating, and a team that was super surprising when it comes to the best in the league. And I was looking at their schedules. The worst team in the league, that was, where I think they were second to worst in defensive rating and the second to worst in offensive rating. It was the New York Knicks. And I know Jalen Brunson went down, and I was looking at some of these matchups that they had this week. January 19th is the first day I'm going to look at, and we'll move on from then. They played the Mavericks, where Max Christie was the highest scorer. They lost by 30 this game. In this game, they did have Jalen Brunson. They had their starters, so it was a bad loss for them. I know they had a couple wins. They didn't play too much this week. They had a good win against the Nets. That's the largest victory or margin that they had in history this past week. So they had a good win against the Nets. Let's see another game that they played. They played the 76ers. It was a close game, 112 to 109. So that's a good win for them. But this month, it has not been good for the New York Knicks. And they didn't have much games this week, but I wanted to just bring up that point. And then the team that's been top 2 in offense and like a top 15 defensive percentage is the Charlotte Hornets. And I don't know. I remember when I think I did my last episode, I didn't even look up the stats before I said it, but when they played that Warriors game, it was Hornets versus Warriors. I can't remember who won, and I was bringing it up because I think they played them twice. And the Hornets offense looks so good, and they had some good games this week. The first game that I'm gonna look at that the Hornets played is they played Orlando Magic, beat them 124 to 97. That's a good one. That's a good win for the Hornets against a good Magic team. Let's see another game that the Hornets played. They played the Wizards. That's a easy win, 119-115. They're scoring a lot of points in these games as well. They had a really, really bad game. I can't remember what day it was. It might have been the 22nd or the 21st. Oh, it was, they had a Hornets versus the Cavaliers. This game was absolutely terrible. The score was 94 to 87. 87 points, team score that much in the first half. LaMelo stats this game, by the way, 1 for 15. 0 for 10 from 3. Besides this game, the Hornets have had such a good offense throughout the month of January. And even with this game for the Cavs as well, we've seen that the Cavs have been really disappointing this season. They were not good as well. Like, even though the Cavs won, in my eyes, these were two like teams that genuinely like should have an L on their record. It was 2 bad games by them. But besides that, the Hornets have been hooping this week. Something I also want to point out is that VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey are like top 2 in steals, and like this week and throughout the month of January as well. So they've been playing super well. Pistons have been having some good games. I know they had a bad loss on the 23rd to the Rockets, or a close loss. I'm not gonna say a bad loss, but a close loss. That game was 104 to 111, but that was a good game. The Pistons are looking good as well. They still need to figure out their offense, but the Pistons have been looking good. Another team I want to bring up is the Raptors, and I was looking at their turnover ratio, how many turnovers they have a game, and they were averaging like 17 turnovers a game. And like this week in like the month of January, they're averaging like 11. And I think it was this Raptors Thunder game where they beat the Thunder. Let me see if it was this game before I say anything. Uh, okay, you know, the OKC are known for forcing your team to get turnovers. This game they had 11 turnovers. There was another game that they played this week where they only had 10 turnovers, and throughout the whole season, like I said, they were averaging 17. In the month of January, they're averaging 11. So I don't know what happened around Christmas time. Um, let's look at this Trailblazers game. How many turnovers they had? I don't remember looking at this. So they went back to their 16. But I know there was another game here that they played this week where they only had 10 turnovers and they got the win. So when this team doesn't turn the ball over like that Trailblazers game, did they lose that game? It was a very close game, so they barely won this game having 16. When they have 10 turnovers like they had against OKC, or another 10 turnover game that I forgot who they played against, they look like a good team, and they've been not turning that ball over. So, um, a win for the Raptors and Raptors fans. Nuggets continue. My team continue to still stay. Let me see where they are in the standings before I say. I'm pretty sure. They went to the 3 seed, tied with the Spurs for the 2 seed. With no Jokic, they continue to look good. Peyton Watson, shout out that boy Peyton Watson. Shout out that Julian Strother game where he had like 20. I forget what game that was. Um, the role players and even like a guy like Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown are back. They haven't really looked too well. But like the guy like Peyton Watson, guys like Julian Strother, the Spencer Jones guy that we just brought out of like a 2-way contract G League player out of nowhere. And he's just starting on our team. Um, Even Zeke Naji, like these guys have been looking good, and I think the Nuggets are genuinely so good. Like I don't want to be biased on my own team, but like for us to still be a top team in the West, the 3 seed tied with the Spurs right now. We were just a 2 seed a couple of days ago. The Nuggets have been just doing so well, so I've been enjoying watching uh the Nuggets play, and some of these teams play as well. I just want to continue to give so much shout out to the Jazz and also just the 76ers this week. Their games have been so fun to watch. Also, John Morant had a good game. I forgot who they played. It was the Hawks. John Morant had like 40 this game. And when John Morant plays good basketball, when he's actually trying, it looks so like it's so fun to watch. Like it's such a not boring watch. He's not just jacking up threes. Like he's getting downhill and he's getting the contact, whether that's drawing the foul or having a crazy layup or going for the dunk or something like that. Um, it's good to watch John Morant because he's not just sitting in the corner or sitting at the top of the key doing a couple ISO moves and then just like hitting a three. So and then this game with the Hawks and the Grizzlies specifically, I watched this game and he looked so good. This game is so comfortable playing that high pick and roll where he could drive. They just couldn't stop Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson this week has been going crazy. He must be averaging like a 30-point triple double for this week because every game that I've seen him play, and the games that I've watched, he's had like 28, 9, and 11, or 32, 8, and 13 that I feel like he had like a couple days ago. Um, Jalen Johnson for sure got to win the All Star, especially for the East, because the East is I don't even know if the All Star, I don't think the All Star reserves have came out, but Jalen Johnson has looked good this week in this game for specifically the Hawks and the Grizzlies, which on the 21st. The Grizzlies just couldn't stop Jalen Johnson. All right, let's get to the segment I have for this week. I don't know what to call this segment. I'm gonna call it I've been thinking about different names, so I'm gonna just call it my role players All NBA / All Star teams, if that's a thing. And I didn't choose who and who isn't a role player. I looked at craftednba.com. So if you feel like I left the name out, go check what they put as a role player. They do. This is where I looked at craftednba.com for all my advanced stats. They do all these like crazy stats and math, and like they even show you why they think this person's a role player based on like it's like weird. It's like crazy stats that they go through, but and like crazy math that they go through. But it's kind of just I would say I'm gonna say this is more of an all star team because I kind of made these teams to fit well together. Like when you think of a good NBA team, you need your star player. You need like your defensive role players. You need to make sure that there's spacing on the team, especially nowadays. Make sure there's size, not too small in the backcourt. That your backcourt has a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense as well. So I kind of made these teams like that as well. So it's just two teams. So I'll start with the first one, and this is probably, and the teams are kind of even to be honest, but I'll let you guys decide in the comments which one you think is better. So for Team A, We have Peyton Pritchard at the one. We have Case and Wallace being his two. I think Peyton Pritchard and Case and Wallace is a great backcourt. I think I mean it's a little small. Like if we go against like a Luca, if we go against a Shea, and Casey Wallace can't go against himself, but with some of these bigger backcourts in the NBA, it'll be. I mean, it won't be too much because we got Casey Wallace can guard any size, but especially like Peyton Pritchard defensively, it's a little bit harder. But I think Casey Wallace definitely complements Peyton Pritchard. And then at the three, PG. They have Craft NBA as PG listed as a role player, and I kind of agree with that, especially with the 76ers, how good VJ has been playing. Like I think VJ is like the third option over PG nowadays. So yeah, they have PG is a role player. He's a three on his team, and then at the four, Jabari Smith. I think Jabari Smith fits well with this team as well. This team actually looks so good. And at the five, Zubac. Is Zubac a role player? He's probably the best player out of all 10 of these players that I'm gonna mention today. But I think this team has spacing. Of course, Zubac doesn't bring the spacing that you kind of want, but Jabari Smith could hit a three, PG could hit a three, Casey Wallace can hit a three, Payne Pritchard could hit a three. So your 1 through 4 can all space the floor, and then you could also just have a good pick and roll player that you could run with Payne Pritchard. Payne Pritchard and the Mays Keita, I think that's how you say his name. The Mays Keita have been doing a lot of pick and roll, and Jaylen Brown and the Mays Keita have been doing a lot of pick and roll as well. But when Payne Pritchard is like handling the ball, he's running that pick and roll with the Mays Keita. So I think if Payne Pritchard had a guy like Zubac doing that pick and roll, and then he has Payne Pritchard this season as well, he's been having the vision to be able to kick out to the corner, kick out to a guy like Jabari Smith, kick out to a guy like PG, and for them to hit that three. So yeah, that's my first team. That's Team A. So if you think Team A is good, keep that in mind as I name Team B, and you just let me know which one you think is better. So let's go over Team B real quick. This was kind of hard because there wasn't a lot of point guards besides Payne Pritchard. That's kind of like a role player. You think most point guards in the NBA, these are like you either have someone that's like certified bucket getter, good point guard, or you kind of are developing somebody. It's not really much in between of like a role player. So right now I have Anthony Black as my one. We'll get to the other points of the team, but I think a lot of my 2 through 5 can handle the ball as well. So we don't need Anthony Black to be turning the ball over like sometimes he does. We're gonna be asking him too much. So we have Anthony Black at my 1, Dyson Daniels at my 2. I think Anthony Black and Dyson Daniels, if they win against this backcourt of Casey Wallace and Payton Pritchard, this is the size that I'm talking about. With Dyson Daniels being like 6'5", Anthony Black being like 6'6", I think. And I mean, when it comes to dribbling the ball and keeping the ball on the floor, the backcourt isn't the best, but like defensively, this backcourt would be so fun to watch, and the playmaking that Daniels can bring, as long as he doesn't turn that ball over as well, and the spacing that he can bring as well. I think this team will do well. And then I have Mikal Bridges at my 3, and just that defense and also that spacing as well. Mikal Bridges also this season has been looking so well offensively, like getting into his bag. Like last season, we saw a lot of Jalen Brunson getting into his bag, and like how Tom Thibodeau was running the offense, but with Mike Brown running this offense, he's been allowing Mikal Bridges to do those like turnaround mid ranges that we saw him do in Brooklyn a lot, and like getting pick and rolls and getting screens, and he's driving and he's trying to do fades and stuff like that. So I've been enjoying watching Mikal Bridges basketball and his offense this season. So I have him at my 3, and at my 4 I have PJ Washington. I think a matchup of Jabari Smith and PJ Washington, which I don't know how many times the Mavericks and the Rockets have played this season, but I think that's a perfect 4 matchup. PJ Washington can spread the floor or space the floor a little bit, but he can also he'll dunk on you if you give him a lob, and I think that's what Anthony Black can do with his driving ability that Anthony Black has. That he can start driving to the paint. PJ Washington does a cut, and Anthony Black finds him on the lob. So at PJ Washington at my 4, and then at my 5 I have Miles Turner. Miles Turner will definitely space that floor out. You cannot leave that boy Miles Turner open. So that's Team B. We have Anthony Black, Dyson Daniels, Mikal Bridges, PJ Washington, and Miles Turner. So that's who I have for Team B. And again, for Team A, we have Payne Pritchard, Kason Wallace, PG-13, Jabari Smith. I don't know why I say PG-13, but Jabari Smith and then Zubac. So you guys let me know who you think is winning. I think Team A is winning, but It all depends on that backcourt matchup. I think that's the biggest thing that we're gonna see. If this was an All-Star game and that players actually care about the All-Star game, and it wasn't just chuck up shots and try to hit turnaround threes and 360s and bounce off the floor lobs. You know what I mean? If this was a All-Star weekend for role players, and they actually cared about the runs. This was runs at Civic. If you know, you know. What's it called? Who do you think is gonna win in this matchup? So it's a small segment for the NBA, but it's just something that I had fun doing. Looking at some of the stats of these role players and looking at who crafted NBA thinks is a role player, and I agree with all of these. I think all these players are role players on their teams. It wasn't a lot of point guards. That's the only thing. There wasn't a lot of, and like I said, also just be able to see that like in the NBA, there's just not a lot of role player point guards. You either start developing somebody, and if he's not good, you start developing somebody else. And if he is good, then he is a staple in the NBA. So yeah, there's not a lot of really role player point guards, but yeah, that's all I have for the NBA. Now let's get excuse me, let's get into the NFL. Like this episode, I've been happy. Had some energy, smile on my face, and I still getting to the NFL. That's not gonna change. Let's go over the Broncos Patriots first. Broncos Patriots scores 10-7. The second half, don't even have to look at the stats because I remember this game. The second half, there's a total of 3 points scored. Now, there's not much I will say about 3 points that was being scored because there was just a blizzard mid game, like in the middle of a game. There's just a blizzard that came out of nowhere. But oh my goodness, there was. I remember seeing before I get into the game, I saw that the NFL, because I follow NFL and I watch the highlights, especially during the NFL season. I can't watch every full game. The NFL highlights was 15 minutes long, and if you're not an NFL highlight person that you watch the NFL highlights, for example, the Seahawks LA Rams game, which was such a great game, I think the time limit was 17 minutes. I was trying to figure out how they find 15 minutes of highlights in this Patriots Broncos game. First of all, watching Jarrett Stidham, I have no complaints. He did more than I expected, than people expected. They thought he was gonna sell this game. I think Jarrett Stidham had a backup QB game. Like he did what a backup QB. He probably did more than what a backup QB is expected to do, and it was just such a hard watch. Like this game was such a hard watch because of the weather, and I don't know how much different the game would have been. The Patriots also, by the way, you guys almost lost. We were 2 field goals away from winning this game. The field goal at halftime or right before half was more of like, I think we could make that, and I think the second field goal was tipped. I had no idea if that one was going. You can't really tell if it was tipped, but bro, Patriots, you guys should be, bro. Yo, see, oh my goodness, I have so much to say, and I don't even want to say it. It's just like, yo, Seahawks, you really already won the Super Bowl. Patriots, I'm sorry, I'm not hating on the Patriots. All Patriots fans that's watching, I'm not hating. I'm just saying the facts, right? Real quick. Played the LA Chargers. That game where the LA Chargers didn't even score a touchdown. U.S. still was making that a game. It was the third quarter. It was 10-3. I believe the score was like 10-3, where Justin Herbert was getting sacked and getting so much pressure on him because that O-line is terrible. Who was the second team they played? I'm like blinking right now. Oh my goodness, the second team y'all played was the Houston Texans. Oh my goodness, where the quarterback on the Houston Texans throws 4 interceptions in one half. And still, Patriots, you guys still almost made that a game somehow. 4 interceptions in one half, and it was almost a game still. Hey, shout out to Texas defense. The only pass I got Patriots is that Texas defense is tough, but still 4 interceptions in one half, and like the game was. Let me go back to last week and let me see y'all. 16-28 was the final score game. Yo, what is the? Give me 1 second. Yo, I'm like, I don't know if this is like D1 hating, but like I just gotta. No, I'm not gonna go into it. 16-28, 4 interceptions, one half, by the way. And then you guys play the backup QB Broncos, where at halftime, At halftime, it was tied, right? Yeah, at halftime it was tied. One touchdown each against the backup quarterback Broncos. Oh my goodness. And then I mean, just the interception by Jerry Stidham. It looked. I mean, at least as a viewer, as a fan, as someone that probably could never play. I actually could never play quarterback in the NFL. Um, that was not the greatest pass, but you guys got a free interception that won you guys the game. The snow definitely cooked the game as well. I don't know how good it would have been. Like I said, I don't know how there was 15 minutes of highlights that the NFL found. I genuinely don't think that they found 15 minutes of highlights. I think it's like just dragged plays because there was no big plays this game. Like Jared Stidham had that one crazy throw after he missed a 2 yard pass, and then the next play right after he just throws like a 40 yard pass just like that. Like one play right after that, after he just missed a 5 yard pass, by the way. Patriots, you guys are cooked. If anybody wants to bet against the Seahawks, let me know. I'll put 100 on that real quick. The Patriots are cooked. They've had the easy. Y'all, okay, this sounds like a Patriots hate, and I had no hate for the Patriots. The Chiefs is a team that if I had a hating team, it's the Chiefs. But it's just like dang, like this Super Bowl is gonna be cooked. As an NFL fan that only is a fan of the Broncos and other teams, it's just like dang, like I wish the Super Bowl was more valid. You know what I'm saying? I wish the Broncos had a starting quarterback and the Patriots or the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl would look good, but maybe I'm coping because I'm a Broncos fan. Let's go over to Seahawks LA Rams game. The the talent, yo, I can't believe there was a Seahawks fan out there that one of my boys I was talking to, and he was talking about how bad his offense is and how Sam Darnold didn't have so many passing yards in this game, or the amount of talent that is surrounded in this offense of the Seahawks. They got it all complete. Their defense, we already know, has been so good this whole season. There's been games where they hold teams to field goals only. And the of course the passing game has just been iffy sometimes, really good sometimes. You have a guy like Jack Smith and Jigmore on your team. You have a guy like Rashid Shaheed on your team. I mean, Kenneth Walker, if your passing game ain't doing good, you have Kenneth Walker that looks like he looked good this game, man. I think he only had 70 yards, but he still looked good this game. And Jackson Smith and Jigga just has so much talent, so much separation on his routes that Sam Darnold can't miss that pass. Even if he's not the best quarterback, even if he is late to passes, Jackson Smith has that much separation. And I think something that's gonna really happen in this Patriots game that I kind of saw in this Rams game is that Sam Darnold is genuinely just gonna trust that Smith and Jigba is gonna get the ball. I think there's gonna be times in a game where the play is drawn up for a guy like Rashid Shaheed or like a drag route or a corner route, and Jack Smith and Jigba is just doing a streak, and Sam Darnold's just gonna trust that Jack Smith and Jigba are gonna get it, and they're gonna make a big play just like that, and the whole momentum of the game shifts just like that. And I, unfortunately, if I as a fan, and no fans of any teams, but as an NFL fan, I genuinely wish that final play that the Rams had thrown went out of bounds, because it would have been fun to watch a little Hail Mary and see if Puka Nacua, the not even top 20 most, I'm not going to say top 20, not even on the top 10 most talented players, talent-wise, but probably one of the best players in the NFL when it comes to just grit, when it comes to wanting to get more than anybody, when it comes to just the energy that he brings on the field. I think if they would do a Hail Mary, somehow Puka Nacua would have jumped on 2 guys and jumped over them and got the ball, but it was sad to see the game end that way because it was such a great game. The Seahawks were really trying to sell that boy Tariq Woolen was. I don't even know what he said. I wish I saw what the context was and what he was saying to the sideline, but it was. I mean, I don't know what the head coach of the Seahawks, but I can't remember who it is right now. Said to him, I don't know if it's Pete Carroll. Yo, that might be some. I might get flamed for that one, but. That flag by Tariq Woolen was definitely unnecessary, and the Rams got back into the game because the Rams are a good team, and you can't do this unnecessary things against a team like the Rams. And the Seahawks, pull out the win, and now they have, they already played their Super Bowl. Now they're playing a volunteer game, a game to just get them their trophy. The Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. This is like the most guaranteed Super Bowl I've ever seen in my lifetime, at least in my lifetime. Maybe that Bengals Super Bowl was like a pretty for sure Rams, but like the Bengals somehow kept it. But this Patriots team is not gonna stay with the Seahawks team. The Seahawks team looks so good, and I don't know what their free agency is looking like, but genuinely like their offense has so much talent. Their defense has been so good this season, and it doesn't matter if even if their offense is selling. Their defense is too good to just not let them even be in the game regardless. The Seahawks are going to be in this game no matter what, no matter how bad their offense is playing, because their defense is that good that they're going to be in this game. And we've seen multiple times against the Patriots, multiple times against against the Texans. We've seen against the Chargers that this Patriots offense is not that good. It's just not that good. Just not that good. And I can't say much about the Blizzard game with the Patriots and only scoring 3 points in 1.5 because my Broncos scored 0.5. But we have a backup quarterback and you guys have the MVP. So, oh my goodness, bro. I might be hating on the Patriots. All right, let's get to the next. Let's just get to the segment. Because I don't want to sound like a Patriots hater. But okay, so for this NFL segment, again, I don't know what happened this week. I don't know. I just don't have names for these segments. I'm gonna call it buy or sell. So I went over some teams that I think could be controversial on what they do, if that makes sense. I mean, there's certain teams that like, of course, like the Jets are like selling. They wanna like draft young players right now. They don't want to buy into a Super Bowl, or a team like who's like the Colts. I don't know how long Daniel Jones is out. I know they just bought in, but like already at a spot where they need to buy in. Even though Daniel Jones is gonna be out, they're gonna trust Riley Leonard. I think Daniel Jones might be a free agent. I don't know. There's some teams that like the Raiders, of course, are gonna sell. Like there's just some like obvious teams. There's some controversial teams. So I'm gonna go over some of these controversial teams that like what I think they should do. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to go over this first one because this first one's gonna be. I might change what I don't even know why I put this. I might change what I put for the first team. Let's go over the second team, the Steelers. I put the Steelers should sell. For my lifetime as an NFL fan, the Steelers have always been the 17th overall pick, or the 18th, or 16th, something like that. They've always went to the wild card, but lost in the wild card. Always went 9-8, and they just haven't been able to take that step forward because their team is just full of middle to round draft picks. You know what I mean? I think, especially with Aaron Rodgers being 42 years old, and I don't know if he's even staying. I think this year for the Steelers, I think they need to sell and draft a quarterback that they can make a franchise quarterback and finally have a franchise quarterback ever since Ben Roethlisberger left. I know they tried the Kenny Pickett thing, but that was cooked. Because I don't even know what draft pick was Kenny Pickett, 13th. Like I said, the Steelers are staying in the middle of the draft, and I think they just need to completely sell. Because this Steelers team is not going to win a Super Bowl. There's no possible way, especially with T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward getting old. Jalen Ramsey's getting old. He was looking washed this season, especially towards the second half. It's time to sell it up. I know the head coach, I can't remember his name right now, but they parted ways. Maybe that's their cue to they're telling us trying to say that they're selling. My next team is gonna be the Ravens. I think the Ravens need to buy. I think while they have Derrick Henry still being a good player, still kind of being in his prime, and with how good this Ravens team has been, but not being able to just finally make it to the Super Bowl, just losing in that AFC Championship or that divisional, I think they really need to like truly buy in. Their defense has always been good, but I don't know. I mean, they fired a head coach that's been there for 16 years and brought him to multiple playoff series with Lamar, but while you have Derrick Henry, while you still have Lamar that's still in his prime as well, if you get a fully healthy season with Lamar, you guys need to really buy into winning that Super Bowl when it's trading your draft picks and it's trading your young assets that you do have, that you feel like you do have to buy into talented players. I think the Colts did something that was so like I haven't been an NFL player or NFL fan for that long, but it felt unorthodox in a way. It felt like the NBA, where at the deadline the Colts truly bought in. They traded 2 first round picks or maybe just one, got Quentin Williams, got Sauce Gardner, two talented players, um, and brought him to his team because the Colts were playing well and they were like, hey, we want to win a Super Bowl right now. We're gonna give up our future to win the Super Bowl right now, and that's what they did. And I think that was smart by them. If of course, if Daniel Jones didn't tear his Achilles, but I think it was a perfect play, and I think a team like the Ravens need to do something similar. Whether like what I can't remember what I had for the Ravens weaknesses when we did the weaknesses episode, but so I can't think of any holes right now. You have Kyle Hamilton, you have Patrick Queen's on the Steelers now. Um, the old line isn't too bad on the Ravens. Of course you have a great backfield. Maybe it's getting Lamar Jackson a true wide receiver that he enjoys because Zay Flowers, even though he made the Pro Bowl, I don't know how much he paid to get in that Pro Bowl, but Zay Flowers in the Pro Bowl was such a weird see. But yeah, I have the Ravens to buy into this next season. While they have the talent that they do. For the Bengals, I put for them to sell. I know they were just in the Super Bowl 2-3 years ago, and I know that they had a great playoff series, not this past season, but the season before that, and I just think with how much money they've tied into these three guys of Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, I don't think this team can win a Super Bowl when they have no money for no like anywhere else where their O line is there's no money there. Their defense has looked not good this season. I don't know if it's trading away a guy like Higgins, but what they need to do. But I think the Bengals need to sell, kind of grow that offensive line, grow that defense, and create an identity for your team. And then make that Super Bowl push again while Joe Burrow is still in his prime, while Jamar Chase is still in his prime. They're both still kind of young. They're like 24, 25 years old. So you have time to have that year or two gap with this team. So I think the Bengals need to sell. Texans are going to become my second favorite team if CJ Stroud has a good season. I think the Texans need to buy. Again, I don't know what their free agency looks like. I was looking at the free agents this week, and I don't think I remember seeing any Texan players or big names from the Texans at least. And this Texas defense was historical this season, and so like to the eye, and like so fun to watch as well. And they can't have another season where their defense is so good and their defense is scoring more points than their offense. I think the Texans need to buy into a wide receiver, and continue to just fix the offensive line as well. And I think the Texans are right back to being, in my opinion, a Super Bowl contender. I think they were a Super Bowl contender this year because the AFC was kind of weak where they were going against the Patriots and they beat the Patriots. They're in the championship to go against the Broncos. So I think the Texans need to buy into this season. I think their team is really good. Their defense is so good, and we've seen multiple times that defenses win you Super Bowl. So I think the Texans need to buy into this season. I'm also going to go with the Jaguars that they need to buy. I think the Jaguars had a great season. Although I forgot who they played first round. Let me actually look at that real quick. The Jaguars played the Bills first round, 27-24. I remember this was a good game and it was a close game, and they beat that Bills team. They're a little sneaky in the AFC. Again, the AFC is kind of weak, so they could have, made something happen. But being the Broncos, I don't know. But, they were, a field goal from time, or I don't know if this game went to overtime, but a field goal away from tying the game and, making it to, playing the Broncos to go to the championship. And just like that, you could, be in the AFC championship and, win the AFC title and make it to the Super Bowl. And, you have a talent like Travis Hunter that wasn't there the whole second half of the season, but this offense looked good, and T-Law is I think a great starting quarterback to win you a Super Bowl, and I think the Jaguars need to buy Liam Cohen, the head coach that just came there has had a great season with this Jaguars team. I think it is time for them to buy and for them to make that playoff push. They've been kind of just that wild card or right out the wild card team for the past couple years now. But they have a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. who has so much talent in the wide receiver room, and their defense wasn't playing bad this season as well. Um, so I think the Jaguars need to buy in. The Cowboys, I don't have many teams to sell. I have a lot of teams to buy. Somebody got to sell. We can't have all these teams in the playoffs. Somebody got to sell. But the Cowboys, I have buying. And it's just buying into their defense. Like we've seen this whole season, their offense was so good with Dak and CD and George Pickens that like surprised us to being one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, stats wise at least. And I think the Cowboys need to buy into their defense. They need to really get defensive players that they like and to sure up that secondary, especially with trading away or releasing Trayvon Diggs, and he didn't have a great season, but um, he was still one of your more talented or more upsided, not upsided but more talented, had the talent corners in your corner room, and he was your corner two, corner one player. So you're just bringing up practice squad players at this point. I think if you could bring in um a corner off a trade or a free agency, and even like a safety as well, this team can can actually make a playoff push because their offense is that good. Their offense, as long as their offense stays the same, they just need a defense because they're scoring 40 points a game this season, and they're allowing 50 points a game. So it's just like you don't even need like a great defense. You just need like a middle of the pack defense. Kind of reminds me of the Denver Nuggets in the NBA, where the Denver Nuggets offense is a top 3 in the league when Jokic is playing, and their defense is just middle of the pack, and it works. It's been working for the past 4 or 5 years. That's how it's been every season, and that's a formula to win. Where if as long as your offense is scoring 40 points a game, you could allow 3 touchdowns. You can allow 4 touchdowns if your offense is scoring 5. You know what I mean? So I think the Cowboys need to buy. And I think this one's kind of obvious, but I had to bring it up, and that the Bears need to really buy in. I think the Bears are genuinely they're next season away from not winning the Super Bowl, but at least making it to the Super Bowl, making it to the NFC Championship. They had such a great season. Ben Johnson had such a great season as a coach. They have the energy. I feel like I've seen so much momentum, so much momentum, or not, I just said momentum again. So much energy from this team that I've enjoyed watching, and they've been one of my more fun watches this season, fun teams this season to watch. So I think the Bears definitely need to buy in. And then lastly, I want to go over the Chiefs real quick. I have no idea if I'm the GM what to do about the Chiefs, and it's like you've seen Patrick Mahomes bring teams that are terrible to the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes, I don't know when he will be coming back, but of course you're not going to win many games in the beginning of the season when Patrick Mahomes is out. So are you really going to sell? And is Patrick Mahomes even going to come back and play good? Is that a real question? I don't know if that's a real question. That could be a bad question. But it's something to actually think about. Is like some players could really come back from an ACL tear and just not be as mobile and as playmaking as he was. So the Chiefs have a really difficult thing on their hand because you still have a guy like Chris Jones and Tranquil that's on your team that's getting old. So you're just gonna let those guys retire and just have good seasons but losing seasons, or you're gonna really buy in right now. So something to think about for the Chiefs. If I was a GM, what would I do? If I was a GM, I think I would sell, make this season at least be a bad season when we get a high draft pick, and then next season or 2 years from now we could go back and do basically what the Warriors did when Steph was injured. The Chiefs and the Warriors are my two hated teams, and they could just be running back. Well, they could just be doing the exact same thing. Where I remember that 2020 or 2021 season where Steph got injured, and the Warriors had a terrible season. That's when they traded or signed or drafted James Wiseman, and then what? 1 or 2 years later, they're in the NBA Finals again. Crazy, man. Both these teams are crazy. But that's all I have for this episode. It's a little shorter episode. But I had fun doing both of these segments. Again, if you made it all the way to this video, just like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're not, turn on post notifications so you get a notification when I post, and it will pop up on your feed. If you could just share it to others. If you could just also be involved in the question segment of the video, where you could just send a comment. You can text me on the Foot Basket Podcast account or text me individually. I will see your text, and you could just stay in tune. As long as if you follow that Foot Basket Podcast account, you can stay up to date with all things going on foot basket related. I'm glad you stayed to the end. I'm glad you watched this video. Make sure you go watch the other ones if you haven't. I thank you for being here today. I'll see you guys.